Yo, it's FTS. I'm back. Episode 4, Seafood Kabobs. Of course, I got my ingredients laid out. Let's walk through it. 2 teaspoons of coconut oil, 3/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 3/4 teaspoon of lemon pepper, 4 kebab sticks, squash, cucumber, cherry tomatoes, mango, red onion, green bell pepper, red bell pepper. Over here on this side, I got my shrimp. I got a tuna steak. I got my salmon fillet. And of course, I got that OB. You know how that's getting ready to go, right? Let's do it. Let's start cutting our vegetables. I'm going to start with my squash. Now with this squash, I'm not going to use the whole squash. I'm going to actually use about a half of it. So I'll just cut it down the center. I'll set this bigger piece to the side. And essentially what we want to do with this, since we're making kebabs, is we want to cut it kind of medium thick. So if you can see, I'm basically cutting to get a certain thickness. You're just gonna keep slicing. Just get your cuts like you want them. Reason why it's important to cut them medium thick is because when you stick the kebab through, you want to have, enough consistency in there to where it's gonna stay on the kebab. So that's what we're doing. So I've got my squash cut. Now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna cut these in half. Because when we put them on, it's gonna be a lot easier to put them on in halves. And it also creates more space for you to get everything else on each kebab. So you see how we're halving them out? And it's really quick. I mean, it's quick cutting here. It's not anything difficult. Get your little half cuts. And that should be more than enough when it comes to the squash. Now we're gonna cut our cucumber. Now, if you remember on prior videos, I always tell you, please wipe that knife off really quick. That way you don't have residue from the previous vegetable or fruit. It's always good to do that. So I'm gonna rinse my knife and wipe it really quick. All right, here we go. So we're gonna go ahead and cut our cucumber. I'm gonna cut it in half. And I'm gonna set this half to the side. So essentially we're gonna do the same thing. We're gonna cut to try to get like a medium type of cut. Or, for each slice. Just so we can have it proper for each kebab. And when you're cutting these types of vegetables that are round, it's probably good to roll as you cut. It makes the cut easier. Like if you roll it while you got the knife going through it, gives you an easier cut. Just a little word of advice from FTS. When you're in that kitchen, So I got my cucumber, I'm working it, getting the cuts like I like it. There we go. So now we'll half these cucumber slices. Let me see if I can, let me move them a little bit so I can get a little bit more space on my board. And again, you know, they're easy to cut. You don't have to use too much force. Just put the knife on, cut straight through the middle. I mean, these cucumbers and squash, they smell good too. Got a really nice aroma to them. And when you're doing kebabs, you know, we're gonna put them on the grill, so that's why it's also a good idea to cut these a little thick, like medium thick when you slice your cucumber and squash. And then when you get to this point, we're just cutting each piece in half. Now, mind you, I'm gonna make 4 kebabs, so I might actually not even have to use all of this, but it's good to have a good workable amount. So as you see, I have my squash and my cucumbers cut. The next thing we're going to cut is our green pepper. And I'll bring it on this side. Now, I'm not gonna use this whole green pepper. I'm working with 4 kebabs, so it's not gonna take that much. So essentially, I'm gonna cut like a third of this green pepper off on the side. And I'm gonna work with that. And that should work pretty well. Now, you know these green peppers got a lot of seeds in them. The section I cut, it doesn't really have too many seeds in it. So it's not hard to get that out. And honestly, the green pepper has about the same consistency as the cucumber. So I didn't rinse my knife off, obviously, but that's no problem. Now, I do have some seeds on it, on my knife right now, because of what I'm doing with the green pepper. So I'm gonna go ahead and rinse my knife. And I'm gonna also rinse the green pepper really quick too. All right, so here we go. We got a third section of the green pepper. And I'm gonna basically slice this in a way where I wanna get it kind of square so I can fit it on the kebab with everything else. So I'm gonna cut in a way where I'm getting like a square type of section. I'm gonna try to get a square section. It might be a little curved, but that's kind of what you want. Just try to square it off as much as you can. So I'm getting some nice, good, thick square sections. And again, they might not be completely squared, but that's okay. You just want to make sure you're cutting it to the point where you know you can get it on that kebab stick when you start putting everything on. Square it up a little bit more. this piece is just an edge piece, so I won't use it. Now I'm going to take my red bell pepper. And again, I'm gonna do like a third of a section of it. You see it's got the seeds. I'll set this larger part to the side. And of course, you see the seeds in there. I'm gonna go ahead and rinse this off and rinse my knife off as well while I'm at it. Now we'll cut square sections of this red bell pepper. You just want to try to, again, just like the green bell pepper, you want to try to get square cuts. Make sure it's probably medium thick, just so you can get it on the, we can get it on the kebab stick. I don't think you'll find too many people that's not a fan of red and green bell peppers. And they have a lot of different uses. You can use them in salads. You can use them for cooking, mixing vegetables together, stews, and of course what I'm doing, which is kebabs. So they have several different uses. So there we go. We got our red bell pepper cut like we want it. I'm gonna rinse my knife off again. Now we're going to cut our mango. And of course the mango is a tropical fruit. I'm putting a tropical twist on these kebabs. You know, the coconut oil, the mango, that gives you that tropical taste. Of course, it's up to you in terms of whether you would use mango on a kebab or not, but today, that's what we're doing here at FTS, you know. So we got this thing going in the kitchen right now real good and real big with this mango. I'm gonna show you what that flavor is, you know what I mean? So with mangoes, I mean, of course, I'm gonna use half of this mango, so I'm gonna just cut it straight down the middle. And you know what's funny about the mango, it's got a seed in it, and it's right in the middle of it. So we're gonna have to just cut around like this, and then we're gonna pry it open. So essentially, I'm going to use, let me get another cut on it again. I'm gonna set this part to the side, and I'm going to use these two sections, which is really equivalent to about just a little more than half of that mango. And of course, with mangoes, they're kind of thick. So I'm gonna try to slice it kind of in a square or just a little subsection that's kind of about that much. You know, I think that's a good bit. That's a good amount to put on the kebab. You just slice and try to get the sizes that's gonna match about that size. That should work for this. And hey, you know, when you cooking, man, one thing I'll say about cutting vegetables and fruits, when you're cooking, I mean, it's kind of therapeutic, because one of the things that happens is you smell the aroma as you're cutting. That's always great. So it's definitely therapeutic when you're cutting. And this little section right here is a little soft, so I won't use it. I just want something that's a little, it's got to be firm enough for me to stick that kebab skewer through it. We'll go with that. So I have my mango cut and ready. And of course, I'm going to rinse my knife off so we can get to this red onion. Now, you know the red onion is strong. I love red onions. I mean, that's my thing. You know, I told you that earlier. So what we're gonna do with this red onion, I'm gonna cut it in half. So I'll half it right down the middle. You got that cut in half. I'm gonna set this section to the side. I'm gonna work with this piece. Now, this is the thing about putting onions on a kebab. You gotta get a proper enough cut to where you're getting enough onion on that kebab skewer stick without overdoing it and without underdoing it. So I'm gonna cut almost in a diagonal type of slice, almost the way you slice a lemon wedge. Because I just want to get like enough where I can stick that kebab skewer through that little subsection, and it's going to give it the flavor that I want. I'll probably have to cut that section in half. Yeah, I like the way that looks. And you know, you want to always cut that little top edge part off. Hey, I tell you what though, these onions, they'll make your eyes water, man. That's the thing you gotta watch out for. They'll make those eyes water. Ain't no doubt about that. And really, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna use a whole lot of onions, so I'm gonna kind of stop cutting at this point. That's probably well over enough, you know. So we'll go with that, and I'll set this to the side. Now, of course, I've got my cherry tomatoes. I don't need to cut those, because the way I'm going to do those, I'm just gonna slide them on the kebab stick, and we're gonna work them just like that. So now that I got all my vegetables cut, we're gonna season our meats. Of course, you know I'm gonna start with that OB. That's just what I do. So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle my OB on. I like to go heavy. It's almost like this is gonna be more of a rub in. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take my fingers and stick my fingers in this coconut oil. And of course, this is virgin coconut oil. And you can find this at any store. It's great for cooking. And again, it gives you that tropical type of flavor. You see how I'm kind of rubbing that on the top side of both of these? I got my salmon fillet, I got my tuna steak. We're just gonna rub in on these top sides right here. Then I'm gonna go ahead and flip. I'm gonna rinse my hands off. Then we're gonna hit it with another sprinkle of that OB. You know my sprinkle is heavy. It's real heavy. I'm heavy-handed with that OB. So then, here we go. We're gonna do the same thing. Just get a little dab of that coconut oil on your fingers. I'm gonna rub that in. Just rub that OB in there. Make sure you kind of put a little pressure on it too. You know, you don't want to be too gentle because then it won't really get in like it should. So just make sure you're rubbing it in. I'm gonna rinse my fingers off again. I'm gonna come back and rub the shrimp. So now we're gonna get on these shrimp. We're gonna do the same thing. I'm doing a rub. I'll just pick them up individually and just rub them, put them in my hands like this. Get that good rub in. Get some of that seasoning off the board, flip them over, get a good rub. I'll take 2 more. Wipe them in that seasoning on the board. You know, just put, with the shrimp, you don't want to pressure them too much because they're kind of tender. You just want to kind of massage them. Got these. Turning them over, just massaging them with my fingers. Then wiping them in that OB that's on the board. Let me get this one. You got that setting in. That, I'm just gonna let that sit just like that. See, the OB brings out the flavor. You know, that's one thing that you can count on. It's gonna bring that flavor out for real, man. And I'm gonna rinse my hands off again. Now the next thing I'm about to do is I'm going to take my coconut oil and I'm going to put some heat on it so it'll liquefy. And in order to do this, I'm going to go over to the stove and I'll show you how I'm going to do it. I'm headed over to the stove with my coconut oil. And as you see, I have an aluminum foil pie pan here. I'm going to take this pie pan, flip it over, and put it on my back aisle. And then I'm going to turn my back aisle on and set it to 4. I'm going to take my coconut oil and put it on top of the aluminum pie pan. Now what this is going to do is that heat that's coming from that aisle is going to heat up that aluminum, and it's going to in turn heat my container that has the coconut oil in it. And it's going to melt that coconut oil within roughly about 2 minutes. Now, one thing you want to make sure you're doing is you don't want to walk away from it. Just make sure you're staying with it just so you can check it. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want that container to start getting soft. As you can see, the coconut oil is beginning to melt. I'm going to time lapse it for you so we don't have to wait the full 2 minutes. As you can see, my coconut oil is now melted. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the aisle off. And we'll go back to our table with our coconut oil. We're back at it. Now it's time to cut the meats. And what we want to do when it comes to the salmon, I'm going to try to cut some square pieces, as you can see. In doing that, you just cut straight across, and then that way I can get some good square pieces to put on our kebab skewers. See how you get that even cut? Might as well just cut across first. I'll just do it this way. Just make it easier for me to cut it like I want it. Salmon strips. So we'll get our square chunks of salmon cut. Now I'll move these over to this board just to make it more workable. That salmon's tender. To be honest with you, that's about all of the salmon I'll need to use is what I have right here on my board. And it's real tender. I'll cut a couple more pieces just to be on the safe side. Yep. That's about all I'll need there. Now, of course, I'm going to rinse my knife off really quick and come back to the tuna. Now we got our tuna steak. Trying to cut some good chunk pieces off of that. Again, you want to kind of get a good chunk square type piece every time you cut, because it's going to be more convenient when you start putting everything on the kebab skewers. Piece. Okay, here we go. So I'll move this over here. That's tuna steak, y'all. Pretty good too. I'll rinse my hands off and the knife off again. And I have my shrimp. And I'll just leave these right here. They're still kind of basting in that OB. You know how we like that. So now we're ready to put everything on our skewers. Are you ready? I thought so. All right, so here we go. Skewer number 1. I'm gonna make this one a shrimp kebab. So of course, the first thing I'm gonna put on here is a vegetable. I'm gonna go with a cucumber. And you can stick it straight through just like this. Be careful with that toothpick. You don't want to stick it you don't want to put too much pressure when you stick it. You want to be careful with that. Then we're going to add a shrimp. And you're just going to stick it straight through. Got to be gentle with it. There we go. Then we're going to go ahead and add a red pepper. I'm going to stick it through the side of the red pepper. You have to be careful when you're dealing with this. You want to be gentle with it. You don't want to move too quick. You don't want to tear a vegetable or a shrimp. We're just sliding to make space. Then we're going to go with a piece of squash. So we'll put that on. Stick it through the soft end. Put the pressure on the back. Just slide that on there. Then we're gonna go with a piece of onion. Now the way I'm gonna do this is I'm gonna stick it through on the hard side of the onion. That way you don't have a problem getting it on there like you want it. Just be careful with your fingers too when you're sticking through like that. And you can already smell the aroma of the mixture of these different vegetables along with that shrimp coming off. It's kind of lovely. Now we'll take one of our cherry tomatoes and I'll slide that on. I'm gonna put it through on the side like that. That way it'll be pretty consistent when you cook it. Then we're gonna add a green pepper. So we got that on there. And we're gonna add another shrimp. Slide that through. It's kind of tight there. It's a good way to have it. Then I'm gonna add another tomato. Now I'll be honest with you, it's good to have these tomatoes really almost kind of in the middle to third portions of your kebab skewer, because they're really the thickest thing that you're putting on here. It's good to have them kind of centered, so that way when you cook, you get an even cook. I'm gonna go ahead and throw another onion on there, because I just mess with onions like that. I go with a little bit smaller piece this time. Again, you want to be gentle with it. Then I'm going to put another shrimp on. And then I'm going to top that thing off with another cucumber. Again, you just slide it in the soft side and let that toothpick come out of the back. So I've got my first kebab ready. And I'm gonna go ahead and sit my kebab down. That one's ready to go. Now I'm gonna rinse my hands again. Second kebab is gonna be salmon. So this time I'm gonna start with a squash. Put a piece of squash on, soft end first, gently slide it on, slide it all the way to the back. Then I'm gonna add a piece of salmon. The salmon's really tender. Probably good to stick it in that backside like that so it'll hold. It's gonna hold pretty good like that. Next, we're gonna go with a cherry tomato. Stick it in on the side. Be gentle with it, run it through. Then we're gonna go with a cucumber. Run that through real gently. Got that on there. Then we're gonna go red pepper. Stick it through. Make sure it's firm. Then I'm gonna hit them with a mango. And put that mango on there now. Look at that. Then we're gonna go with another piece of salmon. And throw that on there. Slide it on gently. Now, with me, you know me, I'm gonna go ahead and throw onion on here. Gotta do that. Ain't gonna go too hard with it. Gotta put something on there though. Just a little something. That'll work. Then we're gonna go with another cucumber. Stick it through soft side. The hard side. Now we're gonna go with another piece of salmon. There we go. Now we're gonna go green pepper. You gotta be gentle with it. Then we're gonna go with another tomato. Stick that in on the side. It's getting kind of heavy. Then we'll go with another piece of salmon. Then I'm gonna go piece of squash to top it off. And you know, once it starts to get heavy, you kind of have to almost vertically do it because now the stick is getting a little heavy. You gotta be careful with it, just be gentle. And there's our salmon kebab. And I'll set that down. 2 down, 2 to go. Next, we're gonna do our tuna steak kebab. So of course, in keeping with tradition, we're gonna start it off. Cucumber. Then we're gonna go piece of tuna steak. Stick it through on the thick side so it can come out and it'll hold. Then we'll go with a piece of squash. And be gentle, just slide it on gently. Keep it from breaking off, you know, you gotta be gentle with it. Then we're gonna go red pepper on them. Then we're gonna go green pepper on them. Then we're gonna go onion on them. And again, when you're doing these onions, it's better to stick it through that back side because that's the thick side, the red side. You have to really just kind of press it on to really get it on there like you want to without it breaking off. Then we're gonna go with another piece of tuna steak. Then I'm gonna go cucumber on them. And there's times where you're gonna have to take your finger, when you start getting to the middle, you gotta take your finger and probably stick it in the middle, on the middle of the stick and just slide it on. Then go back to the back to secure it. Then we're gonna go tomato. Who wants me to put a piece of mango on that tuna kebab? I know you do. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna put that on there, make that happen. Mango. Then we're gonna go green pepper. Then we're gonna go red pepper. We're gonna hit them with another piece of tuna real quick. And then we're gonna top that thing off with a piece of squash. I'm gonna have to go vertical because it's getting kind of heavy. Just be gentle when you press it. You don't want to go too hard. Okay, so now we got our tuna steak kebab done. And you see how I still got a lot of stuff to work with? You know what I'm saying? That's great. Because, hey, you know what I mean? It's always better to have more than to not have enough, right? So I got one kebab skewer left. What am I gonna do with this one? I'm getting ready to go in. We're gonna go full seafood on this one. We're gonna put everything on it. We're gonna start with a shrimp. We're gonna put a tomato on there. We're gonna put a piece of salmon on that thing. We're gonna break it off with the red pepper. We're gonna hit them with a cucumber. We're gonna put a piece of tuna steak on that thing. We're gonna hit it with a piece of squash. We're gonna go ahead and hit them with a piece of onion. Then we're gonna go ahead and hit them with a piece of mango. Don't worry, I ain't gonna miss nothing. Don't worry, I ain't gonna miss nothing. Green pepper. I ain't missing nothing on this one. We're gonna hit it with another tomato. I'm gonna put me another shrimp on that thing. I'm gonna go ahead and hit it with another piece of salmon. I'm going back to back on the meat. I don't even care at this point. Boom. That thing kind of heavy, man. It's kind of heavy. You know what I mean? So this is our all seafood kebab. We're gonna set that right there. And hey, ready to go to the grill now. Almost. Hey, and now you know what time it is. It's time to season again, baby. Now we're ready to baste with our coconut oil. So what we're gonna do is take my brush, get it in the coconut oil. What we're gonna do is take our brush, get it in the coconut oil, dab it on in, and then we're gonna brush our kebabs with the coconut oil. Just brush, get that brush going, lather that thing up, and go back over, go back over, go back over. Now I'm gonna turn them over so I can brush them on the other side. So I'll turn these so I can brush them on the other side. This is how you get that flavor balance that you're looking for. You get that coconut oil on there, man, that's gonna bring it out. Baste a little bit. But we ain't finished. Cause now we gonna season. And you know what this is right here, man? That's that lemon pepper. Now the thing is, I'm not gonna put lemon pepper on all of these kebabs. The one I really wanna put it on the most is the seafood kebab. You know, the all-star one. So I'm gonna go ahead and sprinkle some lemon pepper here. We're gonna get that working. Now remember, this is a 1/4 teaspoon of lemon pepper. Well, it's really 3/4 of a teaspoon. Now remember, this is 3/4 of a teaspoon of lemon pepper. I ain't gonna put it all just on, on one kebab like that. I'm gonna probably put about half of it on here because I love this lemon pepper seasoning and I think it's gonna taste great on this all seafood kebab. Now to bring them out even more, I got that black pepper going. 3/4 of a teaspoon. I'm gonna put that lightly on the other 3 kebabs. Just lightly. I don't want to go too hard on the black pepper. But it's gonna bring a kick to the flavor, you know what I mean? Let me sit that down, turn them over just a little bit, and get it on the other side too while we're at it. Just a little bit of black pepper there. That'll bring it out a little bit. I'll flip it around a little bit just to get a little bit more seasoning. Spread evenly. And now we're ready to go to the grill. This is a Chefman grill. This grill basically is a steam type of grill. So the first thing that we need to do is I need to pull this tray and put some water in it. I'm gonna put a whole glass of water in here. And what that does is it allows the grill to heat up and give you a smoke. It almost is like a smoker type of grill that works based on steam. So let me turn it on. I'm gonna put it on high. I wanna get it heated up really fast. And then I'm going to bring my kabobs over so we can throw them on the grill. So let's go ahead and put our kabobs on our cutting board. And I'm going to transport these over to the grill. Now I'm ready to bring my kabobs over to the grill. And we're about ready to put those on. So we're ready to go ahead and put our kabobs on. Our grill is on high. You're already getting that sizzle. Time and a better aroma as well. While we're waiting on our kabobs to cook, you thought I forgot, huh? No, man, I ain't forget. We gotta get our lemon squeeze on. You already know that. So let me cut me a quarter piece of lemon here. We're gonna squeeze that thing up, man, when it's ready to go, you know? You know we gotta do that. I'm gonna just check them to see what they look like on the other side. Yeah, they're cooking pretty good. It's good to flip it and check even. You don't have to wait the whole 4 minutes. You can just flip and check as you go. And you can tell just by looking at the other side of it where you're at in terms of the cooking and the tenderness of everything. And you can just feel it with your fingers. You can kind of tell how things are starting to get tender. As we're right around the 6-minute mark right now. Now we're at the 8-minute mark. I'm gonna go ahead and flip just one more time. We're at the 9-minute mark now. I'm gonna turn my temperature down to low. And we're just gonna let it simmer for this last minute. Now, when you drive a car real fast and you know what I'm saying? Hey, you going in and out of lanes. Hey, that's the excitement that we getting ready to deal with right now, man. For real, look at this right here. I got my kabobs, man, and they working for real. I'm gonna go ahead and try the all seafood kebab. That's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm about to do. Shrimp. Check. Tomato. Check. Salmon. Check. Red pepper. Check. Cucumber. That's that tuna right there. This will go. Yeah, I got my squash. That's a check too. Let me turn this thing around real quick. Let me get on that other shrimp.